Sing it with me. Come on. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, 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 hey. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, 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 hey.
Hello, good morning. I think we can do a little bit better than that, though. Good morning. All right, that's much better. My name is Joe Witherow. I am a practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Colorado Springs, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome you here this morning to this awesome, majestic Sunday morning. And what we are here all about at the Center for Spiritual Living, Colorado Springs is celebrating our oneness. Everybody that walks through these doors, no matter who you are, where you are, what you believe, you are welcome here. Now, do we have anybody? It's okay if you're shy, it's all right. Do we have anybody that's visiting here for the first time? Oh, we do in the back there. Awesome. Well, we have Yost that's coming up to you with that beautiful flower and a sign-up sheet. And we just ask a couple pieces of information for you so we can get to know you better. And then you can hand that clipboard in for a flash disc that tells you a little bit about who we are, what we believe here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Colorado Springs. But we have an awesome service that's planned here today. We have Reverend Christine Renee Monks that's here. And I'm giddy. I'm going to use the word giddy. I've heard Dr. Regina say that whenever she loves something, she's going to throw a shoe. I may throw a shoe by the end of the service. I may. But what we're going to do first here is we're just going to take 2 minutes, and I want you just to welcome anybody around you here and just say hello and get to know your neighbors on here, and then we're going to come back together.
I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens. Yes, and it returns to me. Oh, I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. Send my joy. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. Power, I send my power over the mountains. I send my power over the sea. I send my power into the heavens, and it returns to me. Oh, I send peace over the mountains. I send peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me. Love, I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens,
Our words of inspiration this morning come from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Nature always wears the colors of spirit. And from Khalil Gibran, let me bathe my soul in colors. Let me swallow the sunset and drink the rainbow. And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, our mental acceptance should be filled with conviction, warmth, color, and imagination. The creative power responds to feeling more quickly than to any other mental attitude. Therefore, we should try to feel the reality of what we are doing when we give a mental treatment. This reality is felt as we become more and more convinced that spirit responds to us. Pray with me. Beloved Spirit, the essence and beauty of today, our blue sky, our majestic mountain that just raises up into the heavens, allowing us to think upward into the sky and knowing that all is joyful, that oneness of being that is taking place with each and every person as goodness flourishes in and all around us. That we color our world with that beautiful feeling of love, truth, the essence of all that is good, grand, and glorious. I am so grateful to be one with this energy and this vibration, this higher consciousness that permeates all things, that oneness with all beings, from the tiniest cell to the tallest tree. I am one with nature, one with all that lives and breathes. I am so grateful. I lift up anyone that is experiencing any type of challenges, whether it be sadness, loneliness, a sense of direction, any concern where their hearts are just not knowing the fullness of who they are, the fullness of God. That I lift them up to know that spirit is real, and they are enfolded in the wings of angels as we stand on holy ground, knowing that each and every life has its purpose and that sense of belonging. I recognize the power of imagination that allows me to see that unfolding of my life, my heart's desires that are manifesting as that orchestration is taking place, that unfolds each and every good thing for all people everywhere. Whether it be with peace, joy, prosperity, the lightness of being, I recognize this energy that is unfolding everywhere. I honor all paths to a higher consciousness, where people are in synagogues, churches, outside in nature, wherever they might be in that circle of love and light. May they be lifted up and feel that oneness, that breath, that our hearts all beat as one, that we are together on this planet. As I see a vision for myself, for the planet, for the cosmos, that centers us with that golden light of just transforming and that transformation that is taking place to a more peaceful, loving, kind planet. I am so grateful for all those that made this service happen. The office staff, all the volunteers, our beautiful musicians as they sing. Their hearts are just boldly lifting us up with that expression of love and light. I am so grateful. I lift up Reverend Christine as she speaks from her heart today, and each and every word touches us and raises us up in the inspiration of life. I am so grateful that I know these words are true. I'm so grateful that the power of life in that vitality that takes place for each and every person here today, that they experience that through the words of Reverend Christine. I release these words boldly with great love to the angels, the archangels, masters and beings of divine light, in all that is good and bright and shiny. And together we affirm this by saying, and so it is. And we carry the light, and together we are brilliant.
I accept and believe divine spirit is me. I am one with all that is. In rain or shine, God is here all the time. I am one with all that is. God is love and love is God, flawless and eternal, and the source of everything. God's power transcends fears and limitations. There's no outside and no other thing. There's a mystic rising up in me, the seer that sees everything and shows me who I am. Oh, I accept and believe divine spirit is me. I am one with all that is. In rain or shine, God is here all the time. I am one with all that is. God is grace and grace is God, my faithful inspiration, lifts me up in times of need. As above, so below, within and without, God's the true reflection of me. There's a mystic rising up in me, the seer that sees everything and shows me who I am. Oh, I accept and believe divine spirit is me. I am one with all that is. In rain or shine, God is here all the time. I am one with all that is. There's a mystic rising up in me, the seer that sees everything and shows me who I am. Oh, I accept and believe divine spirit is me. I am one with all that is. In rain or shine, God is here all the time. I am one with all that is. I am one with all that is. I am one with all that is.
Wow. I think a wow is in order here. Isn't Renee awesome sauce with sprinkles on top?
Thank you.
And thank you also to all of our awesome bandmates here that just make such a joyful noise this morning. Now, I said I was giddy earlier because I have one of my prac mates who was in prac classes with me as I got my license, and I'm just honored to be able to introduce her this morning. Reverend Christine Renee Monks is a licensed minister with the Centers for Spiritual Living. She is a certified life coach, transgender activist, and public speaker. She holds a Master's of Art in Consciousness Studies and a Certificate of Ministerial Education. Now, since her transition from male to female in 2017, she has found her voice in ministry, choral singing, yes, she's awesome at that, and also trans advocacy. She speaks frequently on trans topics to groups interested in understanding the transgender journey more fully. She is a grandmother, father, pilot, and FAA certified instrument flight instructor. Yeah. Her life's noble purpose is to share her gender dysphoria journey with the world in an authentic and vulnerable manner to foster greater empathy and acceptance between the cisgender and transgender communities. Please, everybody, welcome Reverend Christine Renee Monks.
When I heard that Joe was going to introduce me, I thought, well, this is pretty good. Joe and I go back quite a ways with Prac 1 and all that kind of good stuff. So thank you. I'm Christine Monks, Reverend Christine Monks. That's kind of a new title that I have, but I'm just thrilled to be here. I have never been to this center before, so thank you so much. My talk today is entitled, Coming Out is Hard to Do. And it's based on the global theme this month, which is in living color. And I saw that we had some slides up earlier that talked about that. But in living color is meant to be a celebration of expressing your whole self as all the colors of the rainbow that you are, rather than just limiting the way you express yourself. And I like this theme because expressing yourself fully requires authenticity, vulnerability, and courage, because we don't really know how we're going to be received if we show up authentically and vulnerably. And so oftentimes we fail to embrace that. As I was contemplating how I wanted to organize this talk, I wanted to incorporate Pride Month in it, since it's June 1st, and I felt really happy. So happy Pride! I think I wanted to not only talk about individual journeys, and I'm going to mute that slide so we don't have to look at me all the whole time, and I'll bring them back in a bit. I think what we try to do individually is express ourselves authentically, and as a community, I think we try to create welcoming spaces where people can feel like they belong. And so one of the jobs of community, I think, is to create these safe spaces so that people can feel welcome and feel safe to show up as themselves. I am a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, which henceforth and forevermore I'm going to call the queer community because it's easier to say and not trip over. But I have a coming out story, and I suspect everyone does, mostly in the queer community, but in our community, coming out is short for coming out of the closet, right? For so long, people felt if they had a sexual orientation or a gender identity that didn't conform to the societal norms, that you had to hide in the closet and not really be your authentic self. So usually what we refer to when we talk about coming out is coming out as gay or lesbian or trans or bi or pan or any one of the number of identities that you might embody and identify with to your friends, your family, maybe your coworkers, maybe your congregation. All of these things are challenging to do. And most queer people have to come out multiple times in their lives. It's not like a once and done kind of thing. It's you have to come out in different situations and to different people. And it's hard. I will say it's hard. Because sometimes we let our fears get the best of us, right? What if my parents disown me? That's a very real fear for people, especially if they were brought up in a religious environment where there was a lot of judgment on this kind of thing. What if my friends abandon me? What if I have no more friends when I tell them who I really am? How will I survive if everyone rejects me? So coming out is hard to do, and it's scary too. So as I was thinking about this phrase, coming out is hard to do, I got to thinking about the Neil Sedaka song, Breaking Up is Hard to Do. And if Ken were still up here, I'd have him do a few bars of Breaking Up is Hard to Do. But do you know the song? You know, it starts out, comma, comma, down, doobie-doo, down, down. Comma, comma, down, doobie-doo, down, down. Comma, comma, down, doobie-doo, down, down. Breaking up is hard to do. Oh, that was so wonderful. Thank you for joining me. So it was a big hit in 1962 when it was about that tempo. And then in 1975, he re-released it as this sultry, slow love song, which tended to do really well on the charts too. So my brain was replacing breaking up with coming out, because I thought that was kind of nice. And then for a brief moment, I thought about changing breaking up to waking up is hard to do, because waking up is hard to do, right? We often go around in a trance, but that seemed like it was a totally different talk. So I decided just to let that one go. So I offer for your consideration, though, that coming out is more than just telling your parents you're gay. I think coming out is about showing up authentically as yourself. It's about embracing and owning hidden aspects of who you are and feeling safe in that, because again, it requires this vulnerability because you really don't know how it's going to be received by the people you're coming out to. We want to be accepted, we want to feel like we belong, and yet coming out requires us to be courageous because we just don't know. People may reject us. People may do a lot of things. So I'm going to submit to you that coming out is owning your own story about who you are, irrespective of whether it has to do with your gender identity, sexual orientation. It could be a lot of things. My coming out story, I submitted a bio in preparation for this talk. Joe actually read my bio, so I don't need to tell you any of that stuff because you already heard some of it. But what it does is it reveals some of the identities that you embrace and some of the roles that you play. And one of my more recent identities is that of a CSL minister. As you know, I'm now Reverend Christine. And the question is, should I come out as a minister? Now, you may think, well, that seems like a silly question. You're standing up here as a minister. But it's relatively risk-free to come out as a minister to this group, because you're a spiritual community, you welcome that, you had some idea that I was coming and who I was about. But it's entirely different to include that on my online dating profile. There's a risk associated with that. They may decide, oh, she doesn't sound like she's going to be very fun to be with. I mean, who wants to date a minister, right? She's going to be preaching all the time and all that stuff. Think about it. It's not all that far off. Another relatively recent identity that I embody is that of a transgender woman. And it's interesting that my journey as a minister and my journey as a transgender woman both began when I enrolled in my first Science of Mind course back in 2017. I transitioned from male to female in my Beyond Limits class at Mile High Church. And I will tell you, it was a big class, and I don't remember everyone who was in that class with me, but I will bet you most everyone remembers that I was in that class. And I'll share a little bit more about that in my talk later, but in case I forget or run out of time or something, I have all these great notes for my talk, but sometimes I just go off script, and it's just very fun. I spent most of my life living as a presumed heterosexual, cisgender male. And I decided to live the rest of my life as a transgender female so that I could be authentic. My reasons for doing this at the time were I wanted to be seen. I felt like I'd never been seen in my life, but that was probably because I was hiding, okay? I wanted to find my voice. My voice turned out to be different than I thought it was going to be. I wanted to live as my authentic self. And the one that always still gets me is I didn't want to die with no one knowing who I am. And as we get older, we get more attuned, I think. See, I get all drippy, sorry. We get more attuned to the fact that this is a timed event. We don't have forever. If I'm going to be authentic, I probably want to do it earlier rather than later. So I am happy to report I've achieved all of those goals that I set when I first transitioned. Although, as I said, some of them manifested in different ways. Finding my voice turned out to be my public speaking voice, which I didn't really think a lot about. And it turned out to be my singing voice. I sing with the Mile High Church Choir. I sing with the Denver Feminist Chorus. I've sung with an LGBTQ elder chorus called the Sage Singers. And I'd given up my singing voice in high school because it just didn't fit with who I thought I was. But I love to sing. So for me, my coming out story involved telling everyone I knew that I was not the person they thought they knew. And that's hard too. It was the most courageous thing I've ever done in my life, actually. And now 8 years later, it's interesting because I get the opportunity to come out again and again if I share with people that I haven't always been Christine. The majority of people in my life right now know me only as Christine. So it's not a prerequisite that I tell them that I haven't always been Christine. But if I don't tell them, then I kind of go from hiding in one identity to hiding in another identity. So it's kind of tricky. But it's easier not to mention it. It's easier just to be Christine and be done with that. So this month's global theme, as you know from a couple of things, is In Living Color. And it's about expressing all the magnificent colors of your true self. And if that's what it's about, then we need to release any limiting beliefs around who we are or who we're supposed to be in order to embrace our true selves, right? Because if we're really going to shine our true colors, we also need to find a safe place to practice that. And so the two aspects of this talk today that I hope to weave together in a coherent fashion is creating safe spaces for people to feel like they belong and standing in your truth and courage and being yourself. I think as a spiritual community, and even though I don't personally know CSL Colorado Springs, I know of this community and have for many years, but I think we desire to create a safe space for people to feel like they belong. We want to make it an invitation to them to come and feel like they're part of this community. And I think we want a place for it to be safe for people to come out, whatever that means to them. And remember, I'm generalizing this use of coming out, right? It could mean coming out about things we fear sharing with ourselves with other people. It could be the fear of sharing that you're progressive politically if the community is predominantly conservative. Or vice versa. It could be that you fear expressing that you're politically conservative if the room is filled with people who are more progressive. It could be that you fear telling people that you have a deadly disease because you don't want them to see you differently. I'm watching a series right now about a woman who has stage 4 cancer. She doesn't want to tell anybody. doesn't want to tell her family because she doesn't want them to look at her that way. She doesn't want to tell her friends because she doesn't want them to do it. And I thought about it because when I was thinking about what examples to use, there's just lots of parts of ourselves that we just don't feel comfortable sharing because we don't know how people are going to take it. So the question is, can we as a community create safe spaces where people feel comfortable expressing themselves fully? So I want to talk about the idea of belonging versus fitting in. Belonging is not the same thing as fitting in. Fitting in means I need to assess the situation, figure out who or what I need to be in order to be acceptable to you or whatever group I'm trying to impress. And then I show you that aspect of me so you say, oh, she's okay. Yeah, no, I think we could like her. Or at least, even if you don't like me, at least you don't hate me, right? Maybe that's the key. In her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, so let me see if I can turn this back on and advance. Oh, look at me. I am like technically competent today. In her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, Brene Brown says this: fitting in is about assessing a situation and becoming who you need to be accepted. Belonging, on the other hand, doesn't require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are. And I just love that. Isn't that powerful? It doesn't require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times we're not comfortable being who we are. Let's talk about othering, because that's the opposite of belonging. It's the antithesis of that. And I suspect some of you may not be even familiar with that term, othering. So othering is the process of singling out a minority of people, of the population, either due to their differences like race or religion or sexual orientation, gender expression. And it focuses on the differences between traditionally marginalized people rather than focusing on our shared humanity. Sean Ginwright addresses this in his book, The Four Pivots, and I'm a big fan of the Four Pivots. So if you haven't read it or haven't been in a good book group about it, I'd invite you to do that. Sean Ginwright says, I explained to the group the process of othering, that is assigning negative attributes to groups unlike your own, and belonging, the practice of cultivating the capacity to see the humanity in groups unlike our own, and its consequences for our collective effort for social change. Our real work as leaders, if we really want to create a healing-centered world, is to recognize how the process of othering leads to separation and ultimately dehumanization. We all need to find some way to embrace the humanity among those groups that we find most unlike us. And I'm here to tell you that's harder than you think it is. Because it's pretty easy to start saying, well, they're not like us. They're not nice like we are. Or they're not loving like we are. And in that whole act of saying that, we're being what we say we aren't. I'm the acting chair of the Center for Spiritual Living's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And it's kind of an interesting time to be on doing that work because there's a lot of pushback right now from different sectors of our society about DEI work. But I am absolutely convinced that this is essential work for us to do. Because diversity is a fact, okay? You can't argue diversity very effectively. You can't look around this world and fail to see the diversity of the flora, the fauna. Look out the stars at night and see all of that. Look at images from the Hubble telescopes or any of the things that are up there, and you just have to appreciate the diversity. And look at how we all show up in this world as human beings, right? We're all the same species, but do we present the same way? Do we act the same way? Do we look the same way? Heck no. We are diverse beyond need for justifying it. But I think the bookend for diversity, if that's the beginning, the bookend is belonging. The reason we do equity and inclusion work is because we want to create that safe space where people feel like they can belong. I think all of us want to feel like we belong somewhere. If it's not here, there's some place where you can feel like you belong. So as we explore this idea of expressing our true rainbow of colors and expressing ourselves fully, it aligns with reclaiming our true selves and standing in our truth. As religious scientists, we believe in oneness, not sameness. We believe that God expresses itself in everything and everyone, no exception. We often say there's no place that God is not. And that doesn't mean in people who you disagree with, for sure. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, reminds us that in mind, there is no time, no space, no place. There is only wholeness, oneness, and eternity. So because of our fundamental belief in oneness, the science of mind naturally challenges that human nature to other people who we perceive as different from ourselves. But it also encourages us to have a shift in our perception toward recognizing the inherent unity and equality of all people. And even more than all people, all life, all animate and inanimate things. And I think this invites us to approach others with compassion and empathy and respect. The idea of a world that works for all inspires us to embrace these concepts fully. And again, I freely acknowledge that I, like everyone else, am sometimes guilty of othering people. Sometimes I was othering people on the drive down from Denver today, you know? They were giving me lots of work. And sometimes it seems especially challenging in this country and our current political environment. It feels like it's harder to see the oneness in all of us. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Normally when I introduce myself, I offer my pronouns, but Joe did such a fantastic job of introducing me, I just got off my own script. But offering your pronouns may seem odd to people because it's like, well, I can look at you and tell what your pronouns are. Why would you tell me what your pronouns are? And so the reason I choose to offer them when I remember to introduce myself is because for the longest time, the only people who offered their pronouns were people whose pronouns were unusual. This might include non-binary people, this might include gender fluid people, and by offering their pronouns, they essentially other themselves. Sometimes people who present rather androgynously also offer their pronouns. During my transition from male to female, I kind of fit that androgynous, not really sure description. And at the time I was volunteering in the Mile High Youth Ministry as a teacher. And it was interesting because the kids would come up to me and they'd say, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And I'd say, "I'm not really sure. I think I might be both." And then after I transitioned, I said, well, I have figured it out. I am a girl, so I don't need to worry about that. But honestly, some days I wasn't sure myself during that time. So now my intention in offering pronouns is to be in support of my gender fluid siblings. I won't say brothers and sisters because that's kind of a gendered term, right? You might not resonate with that. But the idea is if the only folks who provide their pronouns are people who have unusual pronouns or are transgender, then it's unusual. But if we all started asking or offering our pronouns, it would make it feel more inclusive, especially if someone comes in, sits in the back row, and tries to decide whether this is a community they could see themselves succeeding in. If nobody ever asks pronouns or nobody ever offers pronouns, might not be able to see themselves in that light. So it's not a criticism if you don't use it. I know I had a couple of fun talks with the Mile High practitioners when I said, have you ever had to do an affirmative mind treatment with someone who uses non-binary pronouns? And it's like, well, I don't think that would ever happen. And it's like, oh yeah, it might. Can you do a prayer without saying he or she if they prefer they? And so part of that is practicing help makes it perfect. Let's go back to our quotes for just a second. Both Brene Brown and Sean Ginwright introduced this concept of belonging in their quotes, but they approached it from different points. So let's explore some ways that we can bring that belonging into our centers. Many of our centers have some kind of a DEI group within them, a DEI-R, where the R would be respect, or a DEI-B, where the B would be belonging. And part of it is trying to increase our awareness, not of what's missing from our community. I think people who go out and say, we need more of these people in our community, or we need more of those people, that's just kind of othering, kind of disguised. But I think we need to figure out how can someone who doesn't look like us look at our container and say, oh, I could see myself succeeding here. That's the key that we're trying to do, is a place where someone could be successful here because they look different than we are or do. So I propose curiosity as the first step in that. You have to be curious about people who are different than you are. If they don't look like you, they don't think like you, they didn't vote like you, any of these other attributes that we might come up with, can you be curious instead of judging them and saying, oh yeah, I don't like you. Yeah, I can tell already. I don't even need to hear you talk. I don't like you. Socrates said, the desire to know is the most beautiful thing in a human being. Aristotle said curiosity is the first step on the road to knowledge. So how might you cultivate your own curiosity? And how might you take a stand for belonging when you experience othering by yourself or by other people? In his Sermon by the Sea that was delivered at Asilomar on August 15, 1959, Ernest Holmes said this: find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough not to condemn others out of the burden of his soul, and I will find another Savior, another Jesus, and an exalted human being. That's the part many of you have heard, but it goes on, which I think is interesting. The second part of this says, find me someone who is no longer sad, whose memory has been redeemed from morbidity, and I shall hear laughter. Find me someone whose song is really celestial, because it is the outburst of the cosmic urge to sing, and I shall hear the music of the spheres. How wonderful is that? And then later on in this sermon, He says, when I say find a person, I don't mean go to Rome or London or back to your own center or church. The search is not external. The person exists. These people exist within each and every one of us. So my question to you, or my invitation to you, because it's always an invitation, never an imposition, is can you be that person? Can you be that person for yourself, for your community, by not participating in othering? Can you build a community that fosters diversity and belonging, those two bookends? I want to share a minute or two about my gender transition journey. When I was 3, I told my mom that God made a mistake. I'm supposed to be a girl. And it wasn't really well received, I'll just tell you that. She did not think that that was the case. But what I ended up doing with this is I wrapped myself in shame about the fact that I was a boy and I thought I should be a girl. And so I didn't tell anybody. This was the part of me that was like my deep, dark secret. And despite knowing who I was at 3 years old, I did not transition until much later in life. So the question is, why would a presumably heterosexual male decide that she has to live her life as a female in order to be authentic? On the surface, it's like the most irrational thing I've done in my entire life. But as I got older, I was struggling to find my life purpose. And I achieved a reasonable amount of success. I had a family, I had a business I had started many years ago. I lived a good lifestyle. But I felt like at some level my life didn't have any intrinsic meaning. And so around 2015, 2016, I started praying and meditating, asking for the answer to the question, what is my life's purpose? And I received a response. I received it somewhat unexpectedly. It wasn't the voice of Charlton Heston through the clouds. It wasn't booming, no waters parted. It was soft. In fact, it wasn't even what I would call auditory. It felt more like a knowing. And subsequently, I learned the Greek word gnosis, Gnosis, as what that is. It's a knowing, but it's not a book learning knowing. It's a knowing through a spiritual experience that is transformative. So it's the same root word that we use all the time in agnostic. Most people know the word agnostic, but agnostic just means not knowing, is all it means, literally. But there's some interesting Gnostic things, but that's not today's talk either. But the answer I received, this is the interesting part, was just be yourself. And I was a little disappointed, I will tell you. I thought I had some lofty life purpose. Being myself seemed kind of anticlimactic. And then I stopped for a minute and I thought, oh my gosh, you have never had the courage to be yourself since you were 3. And decided that you should be ashamed of who you are. So somehow there I made up a story, a self-limiting belief that it wasn't okay for me to be me. That it wasn't okay for me to want to be a girl or think I was a girl. So I took my feminine nature and I locked it away so no one would suspect. So now 8 years ago, God, the universe, love, whatever you want to call it, I don't think the name's important, answered my prayer by telling me to be myself. It was both sublime and terrifying because part of what I had to do was decide whether I was going to blow up my life as I had known it to that point, to embrace the person I thought I was at 3 years old, trusting that she knew better than all this identity I had created around being a male. So what I needed to do to shine my own true colors was unlock Christine Renee from the dungeon that she had been locked in our entire life and let her light shine. And I must say, I wasn't quite expecting that she would take over our life as much as she has, but it's like, it's much better. It's much better, and it was long overdue. I was sharing with Deborah, I bring this crystal heart, this quartz heart, when I do my talks, because it reminds me to show you my heart. Because sometimes I can get really cerebral and stay right in my headspace, because that's a really safe place for me to be. But showing you my heart is generally scarier. So how do you express your life in living color? That's what this is truly about, or at least I hope that's what you get out of it. Earlier, I invited you to come out. So what aspect of yourself are you reluctant to share with others? What beliefs do you hold that keep you from expressing your true colors? Where have you allowed fear to keep you in the closet because you feared rejection? Just because you believe something for a really long time doesn't mean it's true. And it doesn't mean you can't change your mind and decide that you're going to courageously come out and let your light shine. As a minister, I realize that everything is heart-centered. Everything revolves around who I think or believe I am and the story I tell about it. So coming out invites me to be authentic, to be vulnerable, and to be courageous. I knew who I was at 3 years old, even though it took me years, decades, to claim that identity publicly. Also, there was no support for me. There was no support for me to transition earlier in my life. So I now have official credentials attesting to my identity as a woman, but they merely confirm what I've always known. Having credentials doesn't make you who you are. It just might provide you with a piece of paper. And the same thing applies to being a minister. I have credentials that say I'm a minister, but I became a minister the day I said yes to this journey, not the day I passed my panels. The credentials open doors for me that might be closed otherwise. But I'd need no credentials to let my light shine and reveal my true self. And you don't either. I didn't earn my divinity. It's been there all along. It's within each of us. Mine, yours, everyone's. I think we're each a manifestation of the divine, and I think our job is to express God within us as well as we possibly can, and let our light shine as brightly as we know how. You are light, you are love, you are God incarnate. Everything else you play is just a role or story you've told yourself, an identity you've assumed, but it's not really who you are and it's not really what you are. So I invite you, if you're going to base your life on a story, make it the most audacious story that you can. Make it a story that makes your heart bigger and lighter and makes you happy. I invite you to live in color this month, in Pride Month. Shine your light. I saw that you're going to participate in the Pikes Peak or Colorado Springs LGBT thing. If you don't get the Science of Mind magazine, it has the theme in living color on it, and I've started reading the daily guides this morning. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and so I want to close with a prayer. So I'll invite any of the prayer practitioners in the room to stand with me. And just take a deep breath and realize that all our power is in the present. There's only one presence in this room. That present goes by many names. It doesn't matter. No name is adequate. We are surrounded by God. We are infused with God. We are conduits through which God flows. And I just recognize the divinity in each and every person in this room and beyond that. And I know that love is our true nature, and that God expresses itself both as love and law. Love for itself as expressed through each and everything we see and think and feel. Law so that it's consistent and predictable. So I give thanks for this time. I give thanks for this container called CSL Colorado Springs and the community that it creates and the love that it potentially sends out to the world, a world that's crying out for love and the difference it makes. So I release these words into that law that only says yes. Yes, my beloved, yes. I let it go, I let it be, and I close this by saying, and so it is. Amen.
Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing in the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Yes, I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Oh, I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
Awesome. Can we get a round of applause for awesome Reverend Christine? I feel lucky because I've known Reverend Christine for a long time, since 2017, and we had a long prac journey together. So I'm just honored and blessed to be able to introduce you here today. And I just want to say, we're at the time of our service where, now we have a chance to give it back and really keep the roof over our heads here and continue all the classes and all the education, all the different prayer support, the prayer arm, the care ministry, all these different things that we have here at the center. We have a chance to contribute and make it even stronger moving forward. So in front of your or in your chairs, you probably have something that looks like a dollar bill. That is if you contribute electronically. You can put it in the basket on here. But it's saying that you are contributing to the future of this church. And we have something that we're going to go ahead and put up here on the screen, hopefully. There we go. And I invite you, whether you are online, there's a place for you to donate without leaving the screen, I promise. But I invite you to hold your tithe, your offering, or something to symbolize that. And we're going to go ahead and say this affirmation together here today. I joyfully celebrate the flow of God through me. I am grateful for receiving and giving to my spiritual community. I give thanks, always knowing God is my source, and so it is.
beautiful, your love and light. You're God's melody and heaven's delight. Let the music flow through you and open your heart. Because you're beautiful, your love and light. I'm beautiful, I'm love and light. I'm heaven's harmony and God's divine life. Let the music flow through me and open my eyes. You see, I'm beautiful, I'm love and light. You're beautiful, so beautiful, let it shine. Let the music be your guiding light to open your mind. We're beautiful, we're love and light. We're God's melody and heaven's delight. Let the music flow through us, open our hearts. Because we're beautiful, we're love and light. You're beautiful, so beautiful, let it shine. Let the music be your guiding light to open your mind. We're beautiful, we're love and light. We're God's melody and heaven's delight. Let the music flow through us, open our hearts. Because we're beautiful, we're love and light. Oh, you're beautiful, love and light. Oh, I'm beautiful, love and light. Oh, we're beautiful, love and light. Oh, you're beautiful, love and light. Oh, I'm beautiful, love and light. Oh, we're beautiful, love and light. You are.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So now it is my honor and privilege just to say a little bit about the prayer arm of our church here. So this awesome visual you have here, these are our CSLCS practitioners. And it means that we've spent a lot of time learning how to pray. And knowing the oneness of everybody who walks in those doors and that is in our presence, we know that oneness on here. And we would love to, we're now going to call it the 3-minute miracle. We would love to hold you in prayer after service. So we have a prayer room that we are now dedicating. It's going to be at the end of that hallway over there. So if you go out there on your right, you're going to see a big old sign that says prayer room. And we're going to have practitioners who would love to hold prayer. Now, if you're shy, that's okay. You know, sometimes we don't want that. That's okay. There is a box in the back corner there. If you would like to, you can write down a quick prayer. And I would invite you, even if you get a prayer with a practitioner, I would still put a prayer in that box on there so more practitioners can hold consciousness on whatever you need prayer on. And we can also do it on positive things as well. So you also have a prayer support button that is on the website where anything that you submit goes to the member of the practitioner team that is on call that week, and we hold prayer for that for a week. So I encourage you to do that as well. And let's see, what else was I going to say? I didn't think I was going to say anything else. But I encourage you still to go to that back room, try out. We have, it's a really nice sacred space that we've created on there so everybody can have that opportunity to pray. And now I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Bobby here for gracious giving.
Okay, so every week we give $100 to a charity that has been given to us by somebody in the congregation. So I'm going to have Reverend Christine pull one and tell us who it is.
Okay. I think I'm still hot on my mic. Okay. The Senior Center, Colorado Springs Senior Center on North Nevada.
And who was it?
Oh, it was submitted by Lynn Wells. So thank you, Lynn. Yay!
All right, let's bring in the kids.
All right, Gabby, ready?
So we learned how to be popo people, and that's meaning like ask more questions.
What else does it mean?
We learned about popo people, and that's how you can be kind to yourself.
All right, and we will close with the peace song. Please stand. Put your hand over your heart. Hold the next person's hand.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that is meant to be, with God as our center, united all are we. Let us walk with each other